All right, welcome everyone to this week's Space School webinar series. This week we're going to be focused on the top 5 hot transport applications. You see schools, hotels, stadiums, caterers, restaurants, everybody's transporting hot food, and it's extra important to them to make sure that their food is not only hot, but appetizing once it gets to the ultimate consumer. So we're going to chat about how they manage that workflow from prep to delivery and making sure it's all handled properly. A little video here, you can see some of the crazy applications that our food goes through to get to us. They're not only hot transports, but they're little used as carts with some stuff on top. This is a very exciting one. Sharp turn up ahead. Stuff you're going to talk about that address some of these exact issues on the video, which are very realistic. Those were all found while our team was doing research and looking for ways to solve those problems. So I am Nancy Farah. I'm going to be your food transport host, and Jim Dubé, who will be doing the majority of the rest of this presentation, he is our food transport expert. So we're your storage nerds for the day, and we will be taking you through our full line. First, we're going to look at the segments that most frequently use hot holding. So not a lot of surprises here, but you can kind of see the breakdown of where most of these products end up, in terms of restaurants and bars being the largest segment in both dollars and locations. And that includes quick serve, fast casual, food service, your local bars, taverns, all of those traditional food service facilities. Then you're looking at the non-commercial market. Again, that's probably next to retailers. They go back and forth in terms of dollars and units, but B&I, schools, healthcare, military and corrections, a lot of product used there, some more specialty items used and requested in those markets just to make sure they're addressing those applications needs, and then followed up by travel and leisure and retail with supermarkets and convenience stores. So as we're coming through COVID and things are getting back to normal, some of these segments are opening up pretty quickly, and we're seeing a lot of demand there. And some of the others, especially travel and leisure, may be lagging a little bit, but certainly big users and a lot of dollars there also. So as they open up, we'll be seeing more and more demand from them. So those are the segments we're mainly focused on, and are going to talk about some of the features and benefits that the hot holding line from Metro has for each of them. So, next one.
Okay, thanks, Nancy. What the heck are we talking about segments for? Aren't we supposed to be talking about hot transport applications, right? No, for good reason. Nancy knows what she's talking about. We're trying to, set up the segments, and the segments we're going to talk about, but we want to talk through the segments about the application. So from an application perspective, there's two basic types of hot transport. We're going to break it down, what we're considering the top 5 here, but your two basic types are offsite transport and then what we'll call intra-facility or intra-campus. So from an offsite perspective, we're going to look at the commissary or central kitchen model, offsite catering, which everyone's pretty familiar with that, and food delivery, big trend. Obviously, restaurants have been doing it for pizza places, and Asian restaurants have been doing it forever, and just about every restaurant's doing some sort of delivery now. And then intra-facility and intra-campus is exactly what it says, whether that's within a facility or within a campus facility. Could be something big like you see on the screen, which is a convention center, or it could be a smaller school where they're moving food within that school to serve in a certain area. So we'll talk about these things, and here I'm a pretty good mathematician. 3 + 2 = 5, so there's your 5 hot transport applications. So back to the segments, we'll talk in the vein of these 5 applications. They're across the top here, and then some of the different segments, like we said, and what we're going to talk about is how they do different versions of each, and some do some don't do others. But just to stop quickly, I want to emphasize the 3 most important things. This is any transport, whether it's hot or cold, but in hot transport, it's to keep the food hot, appetizing, and safe. You can get it there if it's not hot and tasting good, or it's not safe. You really didn't get the job done. It's an abusive application because you're moving products. So whether it's a cabinet like you've seen, bumping and banging into doors, you see how close they come to the sides of the doors in that video we showed earlier. Or it's something that you're carrying and throwing around like a carrier. They need to hold up, they need to last, and then lastly, ergonomics. So pushing, pulling, carrying, whether it's lots of food or you're carrying something, it's got to be ergonomic to make it easier. So just quickly, we'll look at each of these restaurants. They're doing a lot of offsite catering over the past few years. A lot of food delivery. Some are even have adopted the central kitchen model, which basically you hear a lot about ghost kitchens and dark stores, which are more supermarkets. But so they're kind of the same thing, where they're adopting those. They've done a lot of offsite catering. They're starting to dabble in food delivery. Look at hotels and casinos. They're more on the intra-facility, intra-campus side. Doing some offsite catering as well. Stadiums, predominantly, obviously, intra-facility for the most part. Caterers, you're going to see, obviously, they do a lot of offsite catering and intra-facility. We get down to the non-commercial that Nancy mentioned before, lots of transport going on in there too. And you can see just about all of them are doing intra-campus and intra-facility. You'll see the B&I are doing a little bit of the commissary central kitchen model. Same thing with some healthcare facilities. K12 is they've been doing it for years and years and years. They've mastered it. A lot of people are learning from them. So that's the video we showed you, and we'll touch on that further down. And then you got like universities and colleges I have there doing some offsite catering. Even some schools today, some K12 schools are utilizing their kitchens and trying to make some extra revenue and doing some of that. So what we're really going to focus on, these are the three areas we're going to focus. We're focused on restaurants, we're going to focus on hospitality, and we're going to focus on K-12 schools. So from a restaurant perspective, like we mentioned earlier, food delivery, offsite catering, and sometimes some commissary kitchens, what we'll refer in that vein as a ghost kitchen for them. Some trends or statistics, food delivery's been huge. It was huge coming into COVID. It's getting even bigger, obviously, because of what's happened in the last year. $94 billion market and growing. The catering industry is a big industry. That slowed down a little bit over COVID, but it's starting to come back. So those are 2 big things that trends in the last 5-6 years that they've really had to change. And so ghost kitchens are a big part of that, is to be able to respond to that. So their challenges, there's a big massive shift right now from, we talked about this at multiple webinars, less dine-in and more out of store. So whether that's delivering catering, like I'm saying, or even takeout, where people aren't dining in the store. So they're trying to adapt. And then their other big challenge is, third party versus in-house delivery. We've got people that have been doing delivery, but there's a lot of people that are starting to do it, and whether they're using a third party themselves, they're learning, right? So their keys to success right now is learning, delivering, catering, and everything that's involved. 1 to 2 meals at a time. From a perspective of not necessarily how to do it sometimes, but how to change their business and be able to adapt to the different volumes. the added volume in certain areas, or selling that food in a different way, transacting in a different way. And then also, part of that is staging and keeping the food hot prior to delivery, so that they can put people through those drive-through lines, or if there's a lot of people in for takeout, depending on a restaurant. So just show you a couple quick examples here. Here's just a delivery focused slide for restaurants, and you see Domino's. They're the kings and queens of delivery. You've seen in their messaging a lot. We're here to deliver. They've mastered it. A lot of people, I think they've envied them over the pandemic, but they do it that way. And then you got the other side where people are trying to compete. That's a third-party delivery driver, actually up in Canada. The predominant company up there is Skip the Dishes. So that's that person delivering. So you've got everybody trying to get in on that game. And then up on the right, you could see the first picture with all the ticket slips that are circled. That's their delivery area. That's in the front of the store. It's jumbling up the store. The food, you can kind of see it on the corner of the picture. It just stays there on a shelf. They're not keeping it warm. They're waiting for a delivery driver. So not the best way to handle it, but they're trying to get some business. The next picture, that's a pass-through window in a restaurant, and you can kind of see the circle pictures. They're all delivery items, takeout items, and they're jumbling up their pass-through that they're using for the in-store diners sort of thing. So lots of chaos, but they're doing the right thing. They're keeping the food hot before the driver gets there to pick it up. And then lastly, the picture. This is actually a picture from our kitchen storage makeover. Of course, they're doing it the right way because we helped them out. But they've got heated shelves mixed in with their station there, and they're keeping that food hot until the delivery drivers get back from their previous delivery. They grab the bags, look at which order they grab, and they put that food in, so it's staying as hot as it possibly can while managing that weight. From a catering perspective, here's two good examples of two well-known brands. The one on the left, that's a big feeding at an Amazon location, a lunch feeding, and you can see how they're keeping the food hot even before they're holding it in insulated bags. Is what they use to transport and keep it warm, and those things plug in when they get there. But they're also keeping it hot while they're prepping it. That's a heated shelf that's on top of that sandwich unit, and you can see them building their burgers, getting ready to transport. The next picture are a lot of people's favorite chicken chain. They're very similar situation. This is an actual ghost kitchen where they're focused on specifically catering orders, and they're just building catering orders. And they're very, very similar, where you see them. They're building the chicken sandwiches. They're keeping, once they get them packaged, they're keeping them warm before they go into that catering box or into those black bags behind, which have heating elements inside of them for when they get to the site, and it keeps them warm, or even into those carriers sort of thing. So in terms of K-12 schools, how they're a little different, right? So mentioned lots and lots of commissary and central kitchens. They really do an awesome job of it. A lot more intra-campus and intra-facility transport as of late in the last year. So they're, if you look at this segment, they're really an amazing group. There's 57 million K-12 students in this country, so, and we've got central kitchens. It's not uncommon that they're preparing 5 to 10,000 meals a day, sometimes more, which is a massive amount to serve at one time, or to be able to prepare and serve and send out. Some of the COVID statistics, which have made them shift, is 81% of programs going to grab and go pickup sites, 42% delivering direct to homes, and 32% using school buses to get the job done. So they're doing some interesting things to adapt, but their challenge obviously is feeding hundreds of thousands of kids as economically as possible. And in COVID, they're adapting to more out of cafeteria feeding, which we had a webinar on this a few weeks ago, and they're doing a really great job. Their keys to success in transporting food, centralized kitchens, massive trend years and years ago, but it really, the object there is to reduce capital costs and make that food, prepare that food for all those kids as economically as possible. And then from a COVID perspective, they've really just put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in making things work and adapting and getting our kids fed. So hats off to them. Just to give you an idea of the scale of this segment and what the amount of food they move. You see these top pictures here. The top one on the left, that facility has over 300 holding cabinets that go on numerous trucks every morning and go out. The next one, there's a lineup of some transport cabinets, and to give you an idea how much food's in there, the picture on the bottom left, you see the lady putting a tray of food in there. There's probably 8 to 10 meals on each tray, and that's going out, and they're going on trucks like you see on the next picture, 5-6 cabinets per truck, and then they're going out, and then they come off the truck. Very similar to what you see there. So when I talked about ergonomics earlier, very important. I've got a 500, 600 pound cabinet on a truck, and I'm putting it up and down a lift gate like you saw in the video. Excuse me. On the flip side, a lot of they don't only use cabinets. A lot of them will use pan carriers. So there's a couple good examples where they're moving the same amounts of food, but they're doing it a little differently. They're using insulated boxes. A little more economical. Sometimes they need them to break down a little bit better. There's a good example of them kind of using a school bus to get the job done, sort of thing, which very similar to how they do out of big trucks out of central kitchens. And then you mentioned a lot of curbside and in the classroom type of feeding over COVID. These are some good examples of just the scale of what they got to do out of even just the local schools to feed 3 or 4 other schools in the district. Just you see this is from our friends, our reps down in Atlanta, CGA. Some nice pictures that we displayed on a few webinars ago, but they're moving multiple on our shelving. You see some other images there. Just they're staging that food in the cafeterias, being ready to be transported either to the classrooms or to the curbside for people to pick up, which you see those wonderful ladies sitting there waiting, serving food as well. And then last but not least, the hospitality segment really been hurt by COVID a lot. It's hopefully starting to make a comeback, but all they really do is move food in different ways, right? So lots of intra-campus, intra-facility, and a lot of offsite catering, like I mentioned. So, just to give you a sense, the hospitality industry contributed almost $9 trillion to the global economy in 2018, which is like 10% of the world's GDP. So big money, lots of activity here, lots of moving food. Like I said, that's all they do. The catering's a big part of this segment. But as I mentioned, with COVID, they've seen a decrease. It's like 74% last year, which has set them back almost 30 years. It's coming back. We're all hopeful that they make a good recovery. Their challenge is serving anywhere from 30 to 100,000 people for a single event. It's high stakes, high reward environment. It's a key to success there is making sure Bridezilla's wedding's perfect and the food is hot. So lots of important events, people paying lots of money. You got to make sure it's right, and they're feeding lots of people at a time. And really, for them, it's mastering moving food, because you can do everything you want around it, make a nice, pretty event. But if the food's not hot or cold, and if you're transporting cold, it's you've kind of defeated the purpose of what you do. Just some good pictures to give you an idea. In some casinos and convention centers, hotels, you see the pictures on the left. The amount of cabinets, holding cabinets that are in there, so you can imagine the amount of food. You see all the power, the electrical drops to serve, thousands of people at a time. It's complete chaos, so they got to be super organized, and you can't possibly make that much food at a time. So you got to got to keep it warm, and then they're moving it. And they're moving a lot of these facilities using big banquet cabinets like you see there, which are big and bulky, but they hold a lot of plated meals, and they're moving those around convention centers, or sometimes they're moving bulk food cabinets like you see on the next picture in that lineup of cabinets. Then over to the right, just a good example of a stadium. This a soccer stadium has a bunch of cabinets. Most stadiums have anywhere from 50 to 300 holding cabinets that they're moving food around to the different concessions and stuff within there, so they can serve them in there. And then last but not least in this segment would be more our caterers, and not that only caterers use these types of product, but they're more likely to use a pan carrier. Whether they like to break them down. I got smaller vans. It's usually a lot of the offsite stuff, maybe 30 to 100 meals or people that they're serving, sort of thing. You do see these types of products used in inside the convention centers and stuff as well. But really, the end game is that picture on the right. Nice manicured event that people are paying a lot of money for, and the food gets there, and it's hot, and it's served hot. So as always, Metro has the right tool for the job, but in this case, we're pluralizing that, tools, and I'll just give you a brief idea what Metro offers. We have a very elaborate line of holding cabinets, and these are some of our best solutions, or our solutions for transporting hot food. So the first four are bulk food cabinets. We've got our 3 Series cabinet, which is a really great intra-facility transport cabinet, great in stadiums, which you've seen in that picture, and you see it right there. So a little some of the less abusive applications, it's a great product for that. We've got our 8 and 6 Series cabinets. That's just like a traditional insulated cabinet, put a bumper and handles on that, and it works well. And then we've got some of our more specialized transport cabinets that are unique, our 4 Series and our T Series. Our T Series is built specifically for the application. There's nothing like it out there. And our 4 Series is a good economical option that's built better than any other transport cabinet, similar to our 6 and 8 Series. It's got the right handles in the right spots. It's very well insulated. It's got plastic bumpers all around it. So good solutions there. And then last but not least, we have a nice banquet cabinet lineup for plated meals, different sizes, different options there. In terms of pan carriers, our Mighty Light system is a very versatile system. We have a series of different size front load carriers with doors, or top load carriers that they both do well transporting and serving hot food. We also have a heater you could integrate with it, and even a serving ring to help you serve right out of some of the top loaders. And these also work well for cold food as well. So there's a bonus for you. And then last but not least, when we talk about restaurants, one of the key things for them, it's don't want to minimize the transport aspect of delivery, but hey, you pick up a meal, you put it inside an insulated box or bag, and you drop it off to the customer. Usually that's a 15-minute ride. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It's keeping that food hot before that happens, and making sure that it's ready so that it can be delivered quickly. So we've got a nice new line of heated shells, which are super erect hot shells. You can do a lot of different things to configure, real flexible. And then we have some Metro to Go hot stations, which are designed around customer self pickup and staging orders and grab and go. So with that said, I'll pass it back off to you, Nance.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Thanks, Jim. That was a lot of great information there. So, little schedule here of the webinars you've heard from us in the past, and some of the stuff that's coming up in the future. So, hot transport was today. The next one towards the end of May is going to be sharpening your skills on evaluating and speccing more optimized workflow. So basically that's going to be how to put more stuff in your space better. And then last on the list there, headed into the summer and primetime food truck season, getting a more organized food truck, specifically focused on barbecue. So we're looking forward to hearing from all of you on any questions you may have, or certainly suggestions for topics you'd like to hear from us on in the future. So thank you everybody for your time, and thanks Jim and Brianna for pulling this all together. If you guys do have any questions, like I said, make sure you reach out. You can ask any of your Metro contacts, or you can certainly email me directly at nancy.farah@metro.com. So thanks guys.